we'll get started. We'll let you make an opening statement. Then we've got a couple media members. We'll take questions. So I'll unmute them as we go.
Okay, great. Thank you. Appreciate you jumping on here. Obviously, this is a great opportunity for us as a program to go into a place like Penn State with the history. Obviously, it's a very talented football team. They had a huge win last week against Wisconsin on the road. Very talented roster from top to bottom. Coach Franklin has done a great job with their staff. This will be the first time since 2019 where they've had a full house at Beaver Stadium. So it's a great opportunity here. One of the biggest challenges you have is certainly trying to do a great job in practice preparing for the noise. So, obviously excited. Our guys are excited about the opportunity here. Certainly there's a lot of things that we need to continue to work on our end of it too, that we got to clean up from last week, and things that, showed up on tape as areas that we need to improve on. So we've been hard at work on that, at the same time, making sure that we give our guys the best game plan possible to go out to Penn State and compete our tail off.
Thanks, Coach. We'll start with Robbie.
Yeah, Coach, just with that preparation for obviously 100,000 fans, how do you go about that in practice? I know yesterday you guys were kind of talking about bringing in loudspeakers. How hard is that to replicate that environment coming up?
Oh, it's definitely hard. So every speaker that we have available here in the stadium, hopefully we don't upset our neighbors here that back up to the stadium, but we just try to play as loud music as we possibly can while also pumping in crowd noise as much as we can. So we want to make sure that really we just make it as obnoxious as possible where you can't hear and you really have to just focus on silent communication, and you have to be really good with it. And if you're one of the players that is lined up out wide, whether it's on offense, whether it's on defense, if you can't hear, then you got to just make sure that you're watching the ball, because every tape that you watch when there was a crowd there at Beaver Stadium, certainly the opponent has some pre-snap penalties, and that's one thing that we want to make sure we take care of on our end.
All right, we'll move over to Alexis.
Coach, what's it like going into playing against such a high caliber opponent, and what are you going to be looking for from your team in order to, judge them based on last week's performance, moving into, such a big caliber opponent in Penn State?
Yeah, obviously, no question. Obviously for us, there's things that we have to attack on our end that are weaknesses that showed up on tape last week. So we've been trying to address that. We started yesterday with practice as a bonus day. Today was a normal Tuesday for us. So we've been addressing some of the things that showed up in the game last Thursday that we want to get corrected. And then, our players, the good thing is we got a veteran group of players here. A lot of these young men, took the field, back when we played Notre Dame in that kind of environment. That was a program as well that had a very storied past and tremendous history. And so very similar. Obviously, this will be the first time we've played in the stadium where it seats 100,000 plus. We just got to make sure we don't give them a bunch of reasons to be really loud. The one thing we can do on our end is go out and do a good job of executing, and playing good football. And those are things that we've tried to prepare for here, starting our week of preparation on Monday and Tuesday, and then we'll just continue that, trying to make it as loud as possible and do a good job of concentrating and giving our guys the best chance to go there and line up and have success.
All right, we'll go back to Robbie now.
Yeah, I think I'm good. Obviously you guys coming in as underdogs this week, but that's a role that I think you guys were very familiar with last season. Is there a certain comfortability, coming in, knowing with these guys who've kind of been through it, knowing that, maybe people outside of the locker room aren't expecting much?
Certainly, when you look at the paper and you look at the line, I'm sure, I don't even know what it is. I'm guilty of, I get so focused of just watching tape in your office. So I don't, sometimes you're oblivious to what's going on to the outside world sometimes, but that's not a role that our guys wouldn't welcome or embrace or be ready for that challenge. So, it is what it is. And they had a huge win to open the season against a ranked opponent. And so, That was a good old fashioned Big Ten slugfest from back in the day. And, it was a great game for 4 quarters. So we're just really focused on making sure that we clean up the things that we can take care of on our end of it to become a better football team, to become more fundamentally sound, to execute at a higher level. And then we'll go in there and we'll have a plan of attack, based on what we see on tape, whether it's offensively, defensively, on special teams. We'll have a plan of attack, and it's about going out there and implementing that game plan all week here, and then going in there and executing at a high level and the best we can on Saturday.
Back to Alexis.
Coach, after winning a conference championship, is there some sort of pressure that goes along with that to, repeat that success? And if there is, how have your guys been dealing with that so far this season?
Oh, I think there's pressure probably every year, every game in sports. That's just what it is. But, coming off a year that we did and returning a lot of starters, certainly expectations are very high. And that's started first and foremost by our group of young men and our staff. We expect to be successful. We expect to play at a high level. And so you never go into a season trying to repeat history. You want to create new history, and so it's nothing that we come into each week and say, man, we have to do this because that's what we did last year. Every team is different. Each year you have different strengths, different weaknesses. So we just got to keep working on the best version of this 2021 team. And, we got a chance to finally play our first game that's behind us. What things can we correct from that? And then, we got to get better. There's a lot, there's a lot of improvement to be had between game 1 and game 2. And so that's what we're focused on more than anything. And certainly we've got a lot of respect for our opponent. Penn State, tremendous program, tremendous history, very talented roster. And so, but our guys will be ready for that challenge.
Back to Robbie.
I think last week, and you talked about it, the big plays, right? Those were kind of the crush last week. And I think it made maybe a solid defensive performance, maybe on paper, not look as good as it was. And Penn State, I think, did a good job of, executing on the big plays against Wisconsin. I mean, how do you guys go about kind of limiting some of those? And what are the conversations like in the secondary, just trying to limit some of those big chunk plays?
Yeah, no question. You want to make sure that you're in communication. You want to make sure the guys on the back end are on the same page. And then, some of those explosive plays happen because we didn't tackle as well as we needed to. So those are things that we've addressed here yesterday and today in practice. It's hard, to go live. Obviously, that's something that's difficult to do in training camp, and especially when you get into your in-season preparation. But we addressed that. We've worked hard on that the last 2 days here, and that's not a secret. We got to be good. We got to be a good open field tackling team. So when we are in space and it is a one-on-one situation, we got to get them down. We got to get them on the ground. And so, we got to have people running to the football, doing a great job in pursuit. Those are things that certainly have been a staple for Coach Stockton and the defensive staff. And so we work to clean those up. Those are a couple of things that certainly that we can get corrected from last Thursday night on tape. And they got a big play team. They've got some guys. They've got some weapons. Certainly, it starts with the running back group there. We did a good job last week against run, but that's something that we work on day in, day out, week in, week out. This team's got 3 Doak Walker candidates on their football team. It's the only team in FBS that has that. So talented group, and it's a credit to them for the way they've recruited. So we got to embrace that challenge, and it starts with doing a good job against a run, and then certainly being a good tackling team.
Yeah, I mean, talking about the run too. I mean, how impressed were you with your guys and just the way they were able to really shut down the run last week?
Yeah, I mean, it's we work on it, and everybody's got a responsibility, and so it starts with stopping the run first. We got to be disciplined with our run fits. We got to be disciplined defensively with the gap that we're supposed to be in. What's our assignment? And our guys do a good job of that. We drill that. We work on that. We practice that over and over and over. And so, our guys do a really good job of that. And the guys up front certainly didn't get enough credit, for their performance last week. Guys on the defensive line and then the front 7, those guys did a really good job of making sure they did their part to limit the run, and it all starts with that, and we just keep working on cleaning some of the other things that showed up on tape.
Moving back to Alexis.
Coach, coming off of a strong defensive performance Penn State had, they had a lot of good pass rushing and things like that. They had, they held Wisconsin scoreless when the offense really wasn't doing much in terms of production in the first half. What has been sort of your conversations with your offensive unit against, coming up against someone who's very strong in the pass rushing column? What have been your conversations with that to sort of prepare your offensive line and your quarterback?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, again, they've done a good job in recruiting that. A couple of nice additions this offseason. They had a transfer from Temple that came in and has been obviously showed up game number one as a difference maker in terms of a pass rusher, but he's not the only one. They've got talented pass rushers. They've got talented linebackers. They've got talented guys in the secondary. They've got a lot of continuity on their defensive staff. And with their defensive overall, they played high-level defense for a long time. And certainly that was on display last week against Wisconsin, the way they played that game. So we got to have a plan in place on, first of all, what's the best way for us to go about establishing the run, putting our guys in a position to be successful and building on their strengths. And then we got to have a plan of attack. If we're in a one-on-one pass rush situation, and certainly there's something we need to do to adjust our scheme to help that out, to slow down the pass rushers, then we'll be able to get that done. But that's all part of watching film. That's all part of the game plan piece of it, where you got to make sure you have a good plan in place to handle their best players, and they got a lot of good ones on the defensive side of the ball.
All right, switching back to Robbie now.
I think in terms of the run game, a big name that everyone's been talking about is obviously freshman Carson Steele. And listen to you and Bryce kind of talk about him yesterday, how, he came in as a freshman, but, doesn't kind of carry himself as a freshman. When did you realize that, he was going to be able to contribute at a high level right away?
Yeah, I mean, really early in training camp, he came in, he was a state champion in high school at Center Grove. Very well-run program there by Coach Moore down on the south side of Indianapolis. And, when he showed up here, he was physically ready to go. He put up some impressive numbers in the weight room, with what he was doing and how he showed up here. And then when we get on the practice field, Carson practices hard. He runs hard. He finishes runs. I mean, he's got good practice habits for a young player. And those are a lot of times some of the things that you work so hard when a player's young to help them develop great practice habits. And Carson showed up here with really good practice habits, and that's a credit to his high school program and his high school coach. And so, he just kept putting it in. He kept working hard every single day in practice. And, depending on how it shook out, last year we kind of finished the season as a running back by committee approach, and felt pretty strongly about going into this year and being somewhat similar to that. And Carson worked hard to get himself into that mix. And, he did a lot of good things with night number one. Obviously, he's worked hard the last 2 days too on making sure he improves from a ball security standpoint, because that, we were fortunate enough to get that back when it was knocked out. But, he's a guy that, obviously excited about his style of play, and certainly did a nice job night number one.
Absolutely. And then I think kind of another big storyline too for you guys. I know Brandon Martin went down kind of later in the game. Is there any kind of update on his status moving forward this week?
Yeah, he's out for right now. We're waiting, hope to know something here in the next day or two on what lies ahead for Brandon, but he's out for right now. And so until we know for sure, what lies ahead for him, really don't have a whole lot to comment in terms of that, because, we're hoping to get a clearer picture here the next day or two on what lies ahead for Brandon.
Yeah. And then one more to Joseph Boggs. He's obviously guys started a lot last week, wasn't on the 2 deep. I'm not sure if I saw him on the field. Is there any kind of update on him as well? Yeah, no, Joe is out as well. He'll be out, for probably an extended period of time here with a shoulder injury. And so, he was not there last week. He had a procedure done on that day.
So he was out, and we'll be without him for the foreseeable future here.
Another question from Alexis.
Coach, you talk about a lot of the injuries that your team has faced so far this season. How have your guys responded in terms of, filling those roles, stepping up, and really dealing with adversity? And who are some guys that have really stepped up in your eyes in light of all these injuries?
Yeah, I mean, with Joe's absence last week, Damon Kaler and Corey Stewart really stepped in and did a nice job. Both of those guys, it was their first college action. But they also, they did a very good job. They were very consistent throughout training camp. And so felt very confident about them being able to step in, and handle that role that was vacated by Joe. And so we'll continue to keep working with those two young men. They've got a great, a lot of tape to build off of from night number one, and then flipping over there to defense, in Brandon's absence, Clayton Call has worked really hard during his time here and really stepped up and certainly did a great job. He's done a great job this week in terms of preparation. Extremely smart guy with exceptional football intelligence. And so we'll look to Clayton. We'll lean on him a little bit more now. And he's ready for that. He's worked for that. He's played a lot of football already for us. It's just, we've had good depth at the linebacker position. And so you never want to see a young man, go out with an injury, but that happens in our sport. And we try to just make sure we preach a next man up mentality around here, and guys know to stay ready and be ready when their number's called.
Anybody else have anything for Coach Neu? All right. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate the time this morning, and good luck on Saturday.
Okay. Thank you. Have a great day.
All right. First up, we've got Anthony. Anybody have any questions real quick for Anthony? We'll start with Robbie.
Yeah, I asked Coach Neu this as well. I mean, how do you guys go about preparing for a 100,000 people in the stands? I know a couple of years ago you had Notre Dame, which is kind of a similar hostile environment, but I think this is the largest crowd any of you guys have seen. So how do you kind of go about prep-wise for that?
We do it the best we can with, just making crowd noise in the stands when we're practicing. We practice in the stadium a lot so we can get the stadium speakers on and do a lot of loud noise, stuff like that. Play music, just try to recreate an environment like that. Like we know what we're getting into. So Coach Neu does a really good job of doing that for us. And then just locking in on our assignments and knowing that, the communication might be a little tough with that many people in that atmosphere. But Coach Neu does a really good job of trying to recreate what think we're going to hear come Saturday, and helps us work on going out there and just being able to communicate and, just work as an offense with that type of atmosphere.
And then I think, a big message has kind of been the slower start that you guys had on Thursday. I mean, how much of a focus is it to kind of come out a little stronger, and how do you kind of go, I guess, I mean, how do you come out stronger than maybe you did last Thursday?
We just got to go out there and be ourselves. We pressed a little bit, I thought, Saturday or Thursday, first game jitters, stuff like that. Every team in the country goes through stuff like that. So, we're not really discouraged about that. We just got to go out there and play ourselves, play our type of football, play with tempo that we know that we can play with. And then if we go out there and just play our type of football, like I said, lock in our assignments and know, this is what we're expecting to do. Here's what we're going to do. Then we shouldn't really get off to a slow start. I think we can come out and play and, at the end of the day, just play hard and get off to a better start than what we did last week.
We're going to move over to Alexis.
From a personal standpoint, going into this game, what are some big priorities for you personally in your game at your position that you want to address against Penn State? And then as a team, what have the conversations been like, going into this atmosphere? What are you trying to accomplish as a team going into Penn State on Saturday?
For myself, it's just going in and locking in on, hearing the play call, getting us into the right situations, the right scenarios to block them up as well as we can. And then, just ultimately trusting my technique, and just trusting our offense. They're a great team, phenomenal defense. Got a lot of great players. They're athletic, they're fast. But I really just try to worry about myself as much as I possibly can. I mean, I study the film to know here's an idea of what I think I'm going to see. And then at the end of the day, like I said, if I just lock in on my technique and my assignment and knowing, the play call, then I can get everyone else on board and we can go out there and execute the best that we can. For this atmosphere, at the end of the day, it's college football. We played in some big situations, like I said, Notre Dame a couple years ago, NC State, Lucas Oil. So we played in some loud places. So we're going to do the best we can to try not to let that affect us. We're worried about us at the end of the day, going out there and playing the best that we can. And if we go out and put the best that we can on the field, then we should be successful as an offense.
All right, moving back to Robbie.
So last year, especially kind of at the end of last year, you guys really kind of adopted the underdog type mentality, and obviously coming in this weekend, you're an underdog from the outsider's eyes. I mean, how is there a certain comfortability in that? Knowing that you guys have dealt with people not expecting much before, and that's kind of the same storyline this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say there's a little bit of comfortability like that, but I mean, at the end of the day, we go out and we don't necessarily expect to win every game, but we go out there and expect to just play our type of football. We know that we have good enough athletes and good enough personnel and good enough coaching that if we go out there and we play our best style of football, then we should be put in good situations to win. But at the end of the day, football is football. So stuff can happen that's out of our control. Stuff can happen, that just, can necessarily help or hurt or help you. So I wouldn't say, the underdog mentality, like we said, we took that last year because a lot of people doubted us and stuff like that. This year, I'm sure there's still people that still do. We try not to worry about that nowadays. We worry about just going out there and playing the best that we can play. Taking it day by day. We have our one at a time motto, one practice at a time, one lift at a time, one meeting at a time, and doing what we can do to prepare ourselves. And then ultimately when we get to the game on Saturday, it's just taking it one play at a time, one series at a time, knowing that if we go out there and play our style of football and play better, play to our speed, play to our technique, play to our coaching, then we know that we should be in situations where we should be successful.
And then I guess one of the biggest kind of standouts from last Thursday offensively, obviously everyone knows Justin Hall, what he's capable of, but thought Carson Steele did a really good job just as a freshman kind of coming in. How impressed have you been with him and just the way he's been able to kind of carry himself through fall camp and the way he was able to perform in that first game?
Yeah. I've been following Carson since high school. Obviously growing up in Indiana, I follow a lot of Indiana football, and then seeing him at Center Grove and following him throughout his high school career and seeing the success he's had, and then seeing him win Mr. Football was really big. And then finding out when he was coming here, I was really excited to see him go to work. And then, he came in with a great build. He has a great mentality. As a freshman, he didn't take that. I'm a freshman, I'm not going to play. He came in with the mentality of thinking that he was going to play right away. He attacked the film room in the fall camp. That's the biggest adjustment when it comes to when you get to be a freshman in college, is speed in the game. So watching film to slow it down. And I think Carson did a great job at that. And then physically, he's a gifted kid. He's very strong. You come in and you see his quads, you see his legs, you can say, okay, that dude's got some beef on him. He doesn't have the ordinary freshman build. But I couldn't be more proud of the way he came in and embraced his role. As he's not necessarily our first down back, but he came in and learned, the quickest way to get on the field is special teams. So he did that in fall camp, and then he, dominated on special teams, and then when he got in and got his reps during camp, he took full advantage of his reps to show that, he was a guy that we had to have on the field to be a better team. So I'm very impressed and very proud of the way that he came into fall camp and, really pushed himself to get better daily. And then I was excited to see him go out and perform on Thursday. So when he went out and got a touchdown run, none of us were really that surprised because he's put in the work in the camp to get to the situation that he's in. So really, I'm very proud of Carson. He's come a long way since he first got here on campus, and he's going to be a great asset to our offense this year. And I know with the way he works and his mentality that he'll just continue to get better daily.
All right. Anybody have anything else for Anthony? All right. Anthony, thanks for joining us today, and good luck on Saturday.
Thanks, guys.
Christian, thanks for joining us today. We got Robbie General from the Star Press here to ask you a few questions.
All right, I got you.
Yeah, I guess I don't have to use the raise my hand feature anymore. Everyone kind of went away. But I guess for you guys coming in to a stadium that's going to have over 100,000 fans, first time they've had a home game in 2 years. What's the preparation like, and how are you guys going about trying to replicate what you're going to see and hear or not hear on a Saturday?
Yeah, the coach is doing a great job so far in practice, just like trying to pump in artificial crowd noise through speakers and stuff during the team period. So, we really got to stress communication and stuff, and we know it's going to be a tough environment, but I feel like we're all ready for it.
For sure. And then, last year, obviously, towards the end of the year, you guys kind of bought in and adopted that underdog type mentality, and you come in as an underdog this weekend. Is there a certain comfortability in that, knowing that, hey, we're going to do our thing, and maybe people outside might not expect too much, but we're going to do what we can?
Yeah, stemming from last year, we didn't really have we feel like a lot of people didn't really have much faith in us, and we weren't even projected to finish at the top of our conference on the Western side and the MAC. So we know we've been the underdogs, and, it's really nothing to it as long as the guys that's on our team and that's going to be on the sideline Saturday all believe. So, yeah, we don't really pay attention too much to the underdog stuff.
Yeah. And then defensively, I'm sure you watched Penn State's game against Wisconsin. What's the biggest thing that you guys are focusing on and need to stop in order to be successful on Saturday?
Yeah, it's a really talented offense they got over there. Stemming from the O-line all the way to the receivers. So, we know we got to limit the big plays because they got a lot of guys that can, hit some home run shots. So we know we just got to go out there and limit the big plays and try to limit their playmakers because they're going to get the ball to their playmakers, and we know they're very talented players. So we just got to try and limit them as best as we can.
For sure. And then, you talk about the big plays, and obviously that was a big storyline for you guys last week, but Western Illinois was able to get some big plays. How do you go about kind of trying to lock in and stop some of those plays as a defense?
Really just got to stress it in practice, and really first you got to identify where they're at when we get on the field. So that would be the first thing, and then really just having a great week of practice, just making sure that we come out and we're executing and that everybody's on the same page, and then we know that if we're doing that, then we can come out and have a good game.
Sure. What are you guys hoping to kind of show out there on Saturday?
Really just trying to go out and compete, to be honest, because like I said, I know not a lot of people think that we can win this game, and they're going to be a top probably 15 ranked team in the nation. So we just want to go out there and compete and just go out there and have fun.
For sure. And then I think last week, the run defense was really strong for you guys. How much pride do you take in limiting that? And I think on third down, Western went like 3 for 13. How nice is that to see in that first week, being able to get them off the field and shut down that run game?
It's great because, everything starts up front defensively and offensively. So we know as a front seven that we got to shut down the run. So that will allow our DBs to make some plays too in the pass game. So, we take a lot of pride in that. We don't not want anybody to just come out there and run the ball all over us. So we take a lot of pride in that.
For sure. I think that's all I got. So
Gotcha.
Well, Christian, appreciate you joining us today, and good luck on Saturday.
Yep. Thank you. No problem.
Thank you.